Microsoft, after quite some time on their Windows 10 platform, which was a big improvement from the 7-8 generation that drew people all kinds of ire, put Windows back on the map, but people were ready for more. Not more head, but Mr. Moorhead.
They do want more.
But people were ready for more. They were ready for what was next. And you and I both attended the big Windows 11 launch. But in the spirit of friendship, I'll let you take this one first.
I appreciate that. So we've been riding Windows 10 for many, many years. And the thesis was that Windows 10 was going to be the last number in the operating system, and it was going to be Windows as a service. And I think a few things changed. So first off, the value of the PC as a platform went up. We saw this with COVID. But also, I think Microsoft realizes that it's more dependent on its hardware ecosystem that requires generational lifts to drive new hardware purchases and to drive new features and improved experiences. So there was so much to cover. And I want to give you a little view of what it looks like. And as you can see, it looks different. I mean, the start menu being in the lower left-hand corner is no longer a thing. And very much like Chrome OS, it is right in the center. Also notice that all the curves, there are no sharp corners. This is a gentler, kinder operating system. The other thing that I want to point out is anybody who uses multi-monitor will understand this. And I am being irradiated by 4 displays right now, 2 4K, 1 3K, and a 2K. Your applications will automatically snap to the right place. It will remember where it is. Now, Dell had a utility that I used on its 49-inch display that would do this, but this is built right into the operating system. Sometimes you'll accidentally unplug a display, Daniel, or you'll power off and you come back and like all of your applications are in the wrong place. This fixes that. Maybe not a big thing for new users, but I think it's pretty huge. The other thing that's cool is Microsoft is all in on collaboration, so much so they built Teams into the operating system and into the start menu. And not only can you do Teams, but you can also do iOS messages via SMS and classic text messages. So they've merged your phone and they've merged Teams. I'm hoping the Teams will be a lot quicker, being that it's built into the operating system. It's almost guaranteed. Gaming, listen, AAA gaming, Microsoft owns. No, they added some performance features to this. New version of DirectX 12, direct storage. Apple can barely run a full library of AAA games, so I think this is just piling on the advantage here. I'm going to skip this because these are new, what I would call live tiles. They're not calling that, but they're calling them widgets. But we've had widgets and live tiles inside of Windows for forever. Let's get to the store, okay? First off, any type of application that runs on Windows can be hosted at the store. That's big. Second, 0% if you do not use Microsoft's Commerce Engine, 15% if you do. Compare that to Apple Store, which is 30%. And then for smaller ISVs, 15%. I totally view this as a shot across the bow to make life more difficult for Apple in the global investigations that it has on this. Microsoft says it's going to be faster, and I certainly hope so because the current Windows Store is slow. But boom, there's more Android frickin' applications on the PC. Add that to Windows and Linux, and Windows is quickly becoming the most open operating system on the planet. Interestingly enough, they went with the Amazon App Store. I'm sure there's some financial arrangements going on there. I wouldn't imagine that Google would have an issue with this, but we'll probably never know the details below this. But still, running Android apps on your Windows 11 platform. It was a little confusing at first because the company said they were using Intel Bridge technology, and then everybody freaked out about that and said, "Oh my gosh, what about AMD and Qualcomm?" Well, AMD's covered and Qualcomm's covered. AMD is covered through Intel Bridge. No details yet on how Qualcomm will run it, but it would seem like Qualcomm on ARM would be running, even though it's an abstraction. You have to abstract it. You wouldn't have to abstract it for x86. You'd have to abstract it for Android to Windows, but it seems like it would perform really well. And we also talked about security. There's no image there, but I think the biggest commercial feature is this element of a zero trust architecture, where everything needs a password, or everything needs a key, or everything needs to be a registered app. I believe that this is a big shot across the bow for Chrome OS. It's removing most of the security challenges. Being open has kind of downsides, but being open and having zero trust is incredible as well. So all in all, I think this is really good for OEMs, really good for ODMs. And, I had been pre-briefed on this stuff. And I'll tell you, Daniel, I didn't know at first, right? I wasn't all in on this. I didn't understand how some stuff we're doing. But if I look at the consumer side, which is running Android apps and beautiful and some improvements, I have to actually get my hands on it to see how integrated teams and accelerated edge works. But then the zero trust on that. Zero trust could drive an entire upgrade cycle on the commercial PC side, which is making everybody very, very happy.
Yeah, so it's lunchtime now, so we're gonna keep. No, just really quickly, just to wrap this up. I sort of broke it down just into a couple of pieces here. The launch focused on touch, speed, security, privacy, collaboration, AI, and then of course the evolving silicon support. In terms of the overall play, look, M1 changed the game. We're not. I'm not going to sit here for a minute and say that Windows and Intel and everyone just needs to worry about Apple, but the M1 ecosystem is changing, and this was a good moment for Windows to come up with something new, something a little sleeker, something a little sexier, and something that's going to be very compelling for that both commercial and consumer space. Driving on gaming, driving on app ecosystem, driving on being open yet being secure. All those things are part of this story. Of course, over the next few months, we're going to get the hardcore reviewers to get underneath the hood. We're going to hear how happy people are. Pat, you will be one of those people. I know you love to pull things apart, break them, and put them back together. I will read your review, and meanwhile, I will keep looking at those big picture views. But I think overall, good time, good moment. Overall, a solid launch.